G'day guys and welcome back to Upgrade Addiction. My name's Tim. On this episode we're going to be taking a look at a bunch of different gaming mice, 9 in fact, from my personal collection. I'll do a mini review on each of them as we go. I don't want to spend too long on them since there's so many to look at. I'll give you an idea on my thoughts and how I found each of them. I'll give you an idea on which ones I prefer personally and why. I'll do it in price order, so as we go up through the price range you get an idea on what you get if you spend a little bit more, with the exception of 2 mice which will be at the very end, so make sure that you stay tuned for that. So let's take a look at what we're going to be looking at and let me see if I can help you find your next upgrade. Okay guys, so let's take a look at the mice. On the left there's actually a couple of eBay specials which what I was actually talking about at the end of the introduction. We'll take a look at those at the very end. The first one we've got is the Steelseries Rival 100. We've then got a Logitech G402 and a 502. We've got a Razer Deathadder Chroma, a Gigabyte XM300, a Level 10M from Thermaltake, SteelSeries Sensei RAW, and a Roccat KONE XTD. So let's have a look at those individually. Okay, so let's start off with one of the 2 cheapest mice in the array. This is the SteelSeries Rival 100. Now this mouse looks like an ambidextrous design, but technically it's not because it has 2 thumb buttons on this side, but none on the other side. So I guess it still is a right-handed mouse. It has a 4000 dpi optical sensor. It's, like I said, one of the 2 cheapest mice in the roundup here, apart from the 2 Chinese ones obviously. It has lighting effects which can be customized via the SteelSeries software, and it actually comes in 7 different colors. So if you're not a fan of the black and orange, you can get it in a bunch of different styles. But as far as it feels, for someone with big hands, it doesn't feel that bad. My fingers don't hang over the edge of it. It feels a little weighty, considering you can't change the weights in it. Overall, a pretty good mouse, even if it is more aimed towards the budget side of things. Okay, and here we've got the Logitech G402. So this is a nice looking mouse. It doesn't look like a cheap mouse when you look at it. It has 8 buttons on it, it's got a 4000 dpi sensor, has DPI switching on the fly. But actually that's an interesting thing, DPI switching on the fly. I don't know when that would be handy. I don't know. Do you guys DPI switch on the fly? It's got a really ergonomic design. It's only got a blue LED, which just kind of flashes on and off. It doesn't have an adjustable weight system. The build quality feels good. It's got big Teflon feet. It feels nice on this mouse pad. And for such a low price, around the $45 to $50 mark, it's a really solid mouse. Okay, now here's where we start to step up a little bit. This is the Razer Deathadder Chroma. This is in the price range of about $59 to $69 Australian. Here's an interesting one. With the Razer mice, you either absolutely love them or you hate them. What I can say about this mouse is that it's been around for a while in a bunch of different revisions, and another one on the way soon, which is actually going to be the Deathadder Elite. This mouse has a 10,000 dpi optical sensor. It's got RGB lighting, 5 buttons. It doesn't have weight customization, which I think might be handy if, I'm not sure if the Elite has it or not, I need to look into that. But it would be handy just because this mouse can feel a little light. It does operate by the Synapse, the Razer Synapse software, which I've had good and bad experiences with. First time I tried to install it, it just wouldn't do anything. After I unplugged the mouse and plugged it back in, it seemed to work okay, and it was never a drama again. But it's just things like that which are slightly annoying. Now, I don't mind the mouse. It's definitely not the worst in the bunch, in my opinion, but I wish the clicks felt a little sharper. In fact, the first one that I had a bit of a manufacturing fault where some plastic on the bottom wasn't quite flush and it dragged a lot. So I got it replaced with this one, and this one's fine. But like I said at the start, this is either a loved mouse or a hated mouse, and I guess it's up to you. I don't mind it. I can use it. It feels okay in my hand. It's just probably a little too light for me, and it does feel, I guess, slightly on the cheaper side, but it does have a nice braided cable, and you do start to see a reflection on the higher price as we go up from here. Okay, now you might think that this looks very familiar considering the last mouse we just looked at, the Deathadder, and that's because this one, the Gigabyte XM300, does actually share a lot of design and I guess aesthetic with the Chroma. The price is about the same. You can actually get a little bit cheaper if you shop around the $50 to $55 mark. It does feel a little bit shorter in the body than the Chroma. I'm not sure why. It has a 6400 DPI optical sensor. It's got RGB lighting and 7 buttons. Again, DPI switching on the fly, which I guess from this point on is almost expected. Every good mouse has that function, although like I said before, I'm not sure how often people use that. Also, and one good thing about this mouse is it actually comes with 2 spare sets of Teflon feet in the box, which none of the other mice did, which would be handy if you used a lot and they start to wear out. There's nothing more annoying than when the feet start to wear down and you don't know how to get another set. So this is the XM300. It's probably more for gamers with smaller hands, but it'd be a tough choice between this and the Deathadder. I'll just grab the Deathadder real quick actually, and I'll sit up beside it and we'll see. Okay, so excuse the cable there, but you can see they're very common. I'm not sure how that's coming up, but they both have this kind of fatter back end. The profile and the design is almost the same. The concave shape of the clicks is almost the same. The style of the LED lighting is almost the same. So I guess if you're a big fan of the Deathadder or this mouse, you could, I guess, go in between. It wouldn't matter too much. So that's a quick look at the XM300 from Gigabyte. Let's move on. This one here is the SteelSeries Sensei RAW, and you can again get this in a couple of different flavors if you like. The price is around $65 to $75 Australian, and this one is a truly ambidextrous design. It's the profile of it is identical across the top. There's thumb buttons on this side, and there's also thumb buttons on the other side. This one is a little bit more worn, you might have noticed, because this is actually one of my favored mice that I use. It's got a rubberized coating. It's very comfortable. I actually take this one to work and I use it there for many hours a day, and I find it really comfortable to use over a long period of time for productivity. It doesn't have adjustable weights, but it's got big feet on it. It's got an okay weight. It's got a nice braided cable, and it's a fairly solid mouse. I can see a lot of gamers liking this. A lot of people like its bigger brother, the Sensei Pro, I think it is, the one that's got the chrome body, and that was okay. I had one of those for a while, but as far as just a general good gaming mouse goes, this is a nice one. Alright, so here we've got the Thermaltake Level 10M. So this is more of a unique design right off the bat, and I'll say for me, it didn't quite suit the shape of my hand. It feels quite wide and it feels very square. It feels like, I guess, my 2 fingers are a long way apart on this mouse. You can adjust the height of the palm up, I guess, so it cradles your hand better, but I couldn't get it right for me. This one comes in 4 different colors. This is just the all black version. It has an 8200 DPI laser sensor. It's got LED lighting effects and 7 buttons. It's not a bad looking mouse. It's pretty out there, and it's really well built, and it's quite heavy as well. It's just that it just doesn't quite feel right to me. It's not to say it wouldn't feel right for anybody else, but for me, it's just not quite the right one. But again, a fairly cool looking mouse, a fairly architectural design, I guess, and I can see this suiting certain sort of people. But for me, it's not quite right. Okay, Okay, now here's the one I know probably a lot of you have been waiting to see. This is the Logitech G502 Spectrum version. You can get a core version, which has just got a blue accent and blue LED lighting, but this is the Spectrum model, which came out a little after that. I guess they people were asking for LED customizability, and they listened, and out this one came. I think it looks better without the blue trim just there. It's just got a nice piano black touch. This mouse seems to have a huge supporter base. This was actually my go-to mouse for a long time. I used it for ages. It feels really nice to me. It's got a long and narrow profile, which seems to suit me. The buttons have a convex and concave design, meaning one goes down and the other one goes up, which sounds odd, but actually feels really quite natural when you use it. It's got a 12,000 DPI sensor. It has an adjustable weight tray, which is just magnetic, so you can take that off, put in the weights. I don't have any in there because it's fairly heavy as it is, and I don't mind that. It does come with a fair few weights in the box, and if you load it up with all of them, it can feel like a real rock, but some people like the feeling of a very heavy mouse. Now obviously it's got RGB lighting there on the logo, 11 buttons, it's got onboard memory, and again, nice touches like braided cables, gold connector and that kind of stuff. It's a really good mouse, and I guess that's why it's got such a good reputation. Alright, and here we've got the Roccat KONE XTD. This is actually my personal favourite. I find that this suits me a lot better because generally it's a bigger mouse, so it suits larger hands. I love the way it looks, I love the way it feels, I love the sharpness and the responsiveness of the buttons. And when I say sharpness, what I mean is the distance of the travel between the clicks. It's very, very fast to respond. It's got an 8200 DPI laser sensor. It's got easy shift technology, which means if you've got a Roccat keyboard, then effectively the number of buttons on this mouse is doubled. It has a customizable weight system, which is in the bottom there. 4-zone RGB LEDs. You can probably, I'm not sure how well they're going to show up, but you can see I've just got it on, I guess, heartbeat pattern on all red. It has 8 buttons. It's got onboard memory for the profiles, and the software is pretty straightforward to use. So this is my go-to mouse at the moment. Okay, now get a load of these. Get a load of these two. These are the two that I was talking about at the start of the video. So these are the eBay specials. The combined cost of both these mice, including postage to me, was $3. Yep, $3. And honestly, when I bought them, I didn't expect them to arrive, and I probably wouldn't have cared either if they didn't. But they did, and behold, here they are. So I did think of doing a separate video just on these two, as in like a battle of the ultra cheap gaming mice or something like that. But and I may still do that if people are interested in seeing. But let's take a look. So keep in mind, both of these mice, so they're $1.50 each posted. But saying that, one appears to be better value than the other. This one here has RGB lighting. It's not customizable, but it is there. It also has a braided cable, which is nicer than most of the mice in this video, actually. It has 6 buttons, triple stage DPI, maxing out at around 2400 DPI, whereas this one here has no lighting. It's just a basic plastic covered cable and a fixed DPI of around 1600 apparently. They both feel cheap, but the black and clear one feels okay. And if all these mice in this review happen to die and this one didn't, then I could probably use it for a week. It feels okay in my hand. This one doesn't. This one's too flat, but this one feels okay. The worst thing about it is that the thumb buttons feel like they travel forever before you actuate them. They travel so deeply, and it's not very nice to use as far as that goes. The left and right click feel nice, no dramas with that, but I guess you would only use these in cases of emergency, and if that happened, then this would be my choice of the two, and I wouldn't want to be using it too long, but I could if I absolutely had to. Three, two, one. So there we go, guys. Thanks for sticking with me through the video. I guess in summary, my favorites, my top three would be the Roccat KONE XTD, hence that's the one that I use on my main system here. The 502 Spectrum, because that's an amazing mouse, and not too many people that I know that use that have got a bad word to say about it. And the Sensei RAW is my third pick. What I wanted to do was just give you a brief overview of my thoughts on each of the mice. I've been through a few, so I think I'm qualified enough to kind of give you an idea on my thoughts, to maybe help you decide if one of those might be your next upgrade. And as always, if you would be kind enough to like the video and subscribe to me, that would help me out a lot, especially in this early stage of the channel. And keep your eye out, because I'll be uploading another video in the next 2 days, which will be the Battlefield 1 giveaway winner. So stay tuned, and thanks a bunch.